Dixon went in the house, got the keys, backed out the Cybertruck. Mr. Dixon was intoxicated and on drugs.
These kids were hanging out before Thanksgiving. They'd all come home from college, and they were doing what kids do. The Cybertruck rounds a curve and crashes into a tree.
I turned the corner and I just seen a car in a ball of flame.
A friend of theirs tries to push the buttons to open the passenger side door, both for the front passenger and the back passenger. Nothing happens. Doors are all activated by this low voltage battery that's right up at the front of the vehicle where this impact took place. This vehicle is designed where there is no exterior handle, and on the interior, there's no handle of a normal nature.
It's not only that, these kids can't get out from the inside. This person who is there to save them can't get in from the outside.
So he picks up a branch, and after hitting it probably over a dozen times, it finally cracks and breaks.
Broke the front and back windows on the passenger side, and I pulled the front passenger out.
The friend goes in to try to get Krista, and she reaches her arm out, and he grabs her arm, but she pulls back because the fire is just so hot. And so he goes to the back door and tries to get to her from the back side.
It was too much fire and airbags, and I couldn't get to the rest of them.
A lawsuit has been filed over the deadly Cybertruck crash in Piedmont last November.
Seren Dixon, 19, Jack Nelson, 20, and Krista Sukahara, 19, all died.
While the police report doesn't include any conclusions about whether the doors played a part in the aftermath of the crash, the Sukahara family has sued Tesla. In the lawsuit, they allege Tesla's design choices created a highly foreseeable risk that rear seat occupants who survived a crash would nevertheless remain trapped when the vehicle caught fire.
We get the autopsies, and it's clear these kids were alive after this car crashed. They didn't have blunt force injuries. They died because they suffocated.
It's the worst nightmare ever. I have a hole in my heart that will never heal. She was the best daughter a mother could ever ask for.
Tesla for years has built its reputation on being a cool, safe, good-looking car maker.
Tesla is engineered to be the safest car in the world. And to be fair to them, they have done very well on US crash tests. They often get 5-star ratings. Flush door handles were very much part of the aesthetic. And the engineering, it looks very cool.
For so many years, people who drive Teslas love their Teslas. They think their cars are safe. But these accidents revealed that there's actually something bigger going on.
I've been working on Teslas, I would say probably 12 years, maybe. A lot of companies have touch pads and things like that, but Tesla really had a stunning design when they decided, you know what, we're gonna have them come out when you wanna enter the vehicle and then go back in, so it gives it a nice, smooth look.
Rich Benoit co-owns EV specialists The Electrified Garage. He's owned multiple Teslas. He's a fan. But back in 2018, he flagged this to his large YouTube following.
You are not a true Tesla Model S owner until your car has been on a flatbed or one of your door handles has developed an issue where you could no longer enter the vehicle.
Since then, Tesla has produced millions of cars, and they can be found all over the world.
Once it goes to the masses and you start making cars on a scale of like 2, 3, 4, and 5 million, That's when, Gen Pop, as they say, have access to the vehicles. And when they do, not all of them know the pitfalls, ups and downs of having door handles like that. When you push this button, it sends a signal to the 12-volt battery to say, okay, pop the door open. Now, if you have no 12-volt power, the first thing you're gonna do is push this button over and over again. You're gonna start freaking out and realize this thing isn't working. In my opinion, this isn't terribly obvious that this opens the door. This is not a physical lever. This does not pull a cable. The actual way that you open a Tesla is you use this unmarked square right here. That's how you open it.
Is that the same on every model of Tesla?
It is not the same.
What if you're in the back seat?
Now, the back seat is the scary part.
So in the front seat, they're by the handle. In the back seats, they might be under the rug or behind a speaker grill or behind the trim on the door. Or I actually found one in a Model Y. It was in the door pocket under a plastic flap. A lot of Tesla owners themselves don't know that these manual releases exist.
You can design the best vehicle in the world, but you have to also think about what happens to a human being after a crash. You are panicking, and you're going to go to that muscle memory. And for most of us, muscle memory is like an old car where you just open the door.
I went down a rabbit hole just trying to find more information, like, has this happened before? And I found one in Wisconsin, which sounded very similar.
Jesus Christ.
They crash into a tree. The car catches fire.
So we think 3 or 4?
Now, what we find out when we read the police report is that there were 5 people in this car, and the people in the back seat, their bodies are found in the front seat.
And one of the images says on the body bag, female found climbing next to driver.
According to the police report, detectives noted due to the number of the bodies in the front seats, it appeared as though they were trying to get out.
There have been other accidents.
I don't know if they relate. It might be a Tesla. I haven't seen anyone. From what we heard, someone was trapped inside.
There was a Cybertruck accident in Texas. There was a crash in Miami. Elijah Arenas, star basketball player in Southern California, crashes in a Cybertruck, can't open the door, has to bash the window out with his feet.
Some of them happened on rural roads in, the South. In some cases, the driver has never been identified because they were burned beyond recognition. But larger than the fatalities are just regular consumers. All of a sudden, they can't get into their car and, they're calling 911. We've just come to realize that there's more than we knew. From 2018 on, we found over 140 complaints about Tesla's doors.
Kids have gotten stuck in their Teslas. Pets get stuck in Teslas. Elderly people get stuck in Teslas.
Owners who were in the grocery store buckling their kid into the car seat, and then they went around to open their door, and lo and behold, the battery had died. They had never gotten a notice about it, and then they're frantically trying to rescue their child. These complaints have been known for quite some time because, as we've also reported, NHTSA has a pretty publicly accessible database of complaints from owners.
Consumers have also complained that flush or fully concealed handles like that on the Cybertruck make it harder for people trying to rescue those stuck in a car. After Bloomberg published an investigation in September 2025 on Tesla's doors, the US regulator NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, said it opened a defect investigation into Tesla Model Y door handles.
It's quite likely that the complaints that NHTSA gets are just a tiny drop in the bucket of what consumers are actually experiencing in terms of issues with their cars.
This is only in the United States,
This
right?
is only in the United States.
We have Toronto, there's, cases we've read about in Germany.
In Germany, part of the challenge is the data privacy issues are really prevalent. But I do think that we're making serious headway in getting a better sense from a regulatory perspective.
Regulators in the United States are increasingly finding themselves under pressure and at times face criticism for alleged inaction. That's where plaintiffs' lawyers and safety advocates say private litigation can be more effective in imposing accountability and offering victims a sense of redress. The Sukahara family's lawyers allege an expert inspection of the vehicle concluded there was nothing physically or mechanically keeping the door from opening.
Had the door open, Krista would have been able to be extracted, whether on her own power or by Mr. Reardon, who's there has already saved Mr. Miller.
Tesla has said its vehicles meet or exceed all applicable safety standards. In response to a lawsuit by the family of Jack Nelson, who died alongside Krista Sukahara in the Piedmont crash, the company said it shouldn't be held responsible for the accident or its result, citing among almost 24 defenses the conduct of others. A toxicology report showed that Soren Dixon, the driver of the Cybertruck, who also died in the crash, had a blood alcohol level that exceeded the legal limit.
When your chief of police and the priest shows up at your door at 7:30 in the morning, it's usually not a good thing. I screamed. I screamed a lot. I miss her terribly. Sorry. And I don't want anyone else to go through this. I want this to be fixed immediately. And I want people to know. Maybe people don't even know that these doors do this. I didn't know there's like some secret like latch or whatever to release the doors. Who would know that? Who would know that? Why would you need to do that in a vehicle? You should be able to open the door and get out if something happens. And that is why I want to do this today. I want people to know, to be safe, and what if they are driving this vehicle, what could happen. I think they need to recall all of these vehicles off the road and fix it immediately. The federal government needs to step in and address this as well. And it's not okay.
At the time of recording, Tesla faced at least 8 lawsuits alleging problems with doors and entrapment. Tesla has not been found liable with regard to any of these incidents.
I don't know if the actual dollar figure is going to really matter for, a $1 trillion+ company, but I think the more lawsuits there are and the more attention there is on it, the more likely there's going to be the pressure to actually, address it, whether it's redesigning cars or otherwise.
Since we published our story, Tesla's chief designer has said they're looking into redesigning the doors.
We actually have a mechanical release that's, basically right at the electronic one too, and we're combining the two. So that's something that we're working on, yeah.
Is Tesla looking at the design of the door manual override?
So I can tell you that the board takes very seriously any safety-related reporting or any incidents of any type globally in terms of what we look at.
What the fix is and the timeline for that fix is not something that we have a lot of insight into, although, we would love to know and we keep asking.
Tesla has had problems with its doors going back to 2013, with Elon Musk himself acknowledging it.
It's quite a fancy door handle, and occasionally the sensor would malfunction on the door handle. But we've addressed that at root cause, and so essentially the door handle incidents have gone to virtually zero.
So a question being raised by the litigation is, should Tesla or the regulator NHTSA be doing more? Part of the problem is that crash tests are currently designed to measure impact survivability, not whether occupants can escape quickly afterwards.
Safety standards in the United States were written before the electric vehicle revolution really hit. We are moving at a way faster speed than our regulatory system has managed to keep up.
And while the US regulator NHTSA is investigating Tesla, it's unclear how long that might take. What might force Tesla's hand is the company's second largest market, China, where a ban on doors with flush handles is being considered.
It's a huge issue in China, where there have been a couple of fatal crashes involving Xiaomi, which is a big competitor to Tesla globally, actually. And I'm very curious to see what happens on the regulatory front in Europe and in China. China tends to move very fast, given the centralized government.
new rules from Chinese regulators could have a serious impact across the entire automotive industry. While flush electric handles initially set Teslas apart, many of the company's competitors have since imitated them in an effort to cash in on Tesla's success. A 2023 market research study revealed consumers were increasingly critical of non-traditional door handles, with 7 of the 10 most problematic models being EVs.
Tesla's not alone. It's a crisis that's like gaining momentum among a whole cross-section of dozens and dozens of models. The summaries among these complaints are haunting, and they echo a lot of the original reporting from the Tesla story.
What other automakers are people complaining about?
The ID.4 was among sort of the bigger complaints. Rivian, Fisker Oceans proved to be problematic. High-end vehicles.
And are the numbers going up? Like, give us a sense of the scale there.
They're going up. So a decade ago, this was a rare finding, exclusive to 1 or 2 models. Now it's really growing to the tune of almost 50% in growth from just 2023 to 2024.
For now, though, Tesla remains firmly in the spotlight.
I mean, there's a reason why millions have been made. They still get the highest crash test ratings. They're super high in terms of how people love their vehicles. They have a cult-like following.
The company has sold over 8 million vehicles worldwide, and every single one of those doors is electrically powered.
It's predictable that a vehicle is going to get a crash at 58 miles an hour. That's not out of the realm of what can happen. It's predictable and reasonable that a vehicle might burst into fire, like this one did. You need to have a design that allows people to get out of the vehicle if they need to. Tesla has the ability to recall their vehicles right now. They have the absolute ability to do that and fix the problem, and they haven't done it.
She was trying to get out, but she couldn't. She was trapped. And it's my worst nightmare. I've had visions of her yelling, Mom, Dad, anything, right? And being so scared. And I wish I could have been there for her to protect her, because it's not fair. It's not fair. She was in the safest seat, and her door was not blocked by anything, and she should be alive. And it's not okay. It's not okay.